Today we're playing the casino version of Ricochet Poker. Ricochet Poker is a casino card game for one dealer and up to 7 players. The goal is just to get the best poker hand, and I'm going to deal a couple of times. First, just to get the basic rules, and then I'm going to go through it a little slower and talk about the procedures that I use. I've got 5 players in this game, and it's a $5 game, so the main bet has got to be exactly $5. Everybody makes that bet, as well as the dealer. There's also some side bets that I'll explain as we go. I'll just put some of those out there. Those are optional, and they can be any size. I'm going to give 2 cards to each player to start, and 5 cards to the dealer. It's all face up, just like this. All right, the dealer's hand is a pair of 10s. This is not a community cards game. This is just the dealer's hand. I have a pair of 10s, and that means I will be paying the hedge bet, side bet. That bet says the dealer's hand is good. Specifically, it's a pair of 5s or better, and it pays 1-to-1 if a dealer has just a low pair. So a pair of 10s pays 1-to-1 on those hedge bets, and that's the hedge bets all paid. The other side bet is a quick draw bet, and it says that your 2 cards beat the dealer's 5 cards. So if somebody had better than a pair of 10s, they'd be getting paid 5-to-1 on that bet. They're not. I'm going to bring those in. And now we're going to play the main game. I'm going to bring all the bets into the center. The game is called Ricochet Poker because the action always goes to the lowest hand. So among the player hands, we have Queen, Jack, Ace, Ace, King. The Jack is the lowest hand. That player's going to go first, and they have the option either to buy the rest of their hand for 1 more chip or to fold out of the game. Up against a pair of 10s, normally you might not play that, but let's show how it works. Jack 6 buys the rest of his hand. We get 1 more chip in the pot, and then 1, 2, 3 cards. Not a pair of anything, so that player is out. Next hand is the Queen 4. Let's do the same thing. 1 more chip, buys 1, 2, 3 cards, no pair, and out. The next hand is the King 3. Let's say that player plays as well. 1, 2, 3. That's a pair of kings, and that's enough to knock out the dealer's pair of 10s. There's only ever one 5-card hand unless they're tied. So I fold a 5-card hand as soon as it's beaten by a 5-card hand. The Ace 4 is the next to play. He's missing one of his aces, but he's going to go ahead and do it. 1 more coin gets him another ace, and that knocks out the kings. And the Ace 5 could fold here, but they're getting 10-to-1 to try to beat this pair of aces. Let's go ahead and see what happens. A bet and 1, 2, 3 cards. That was a pair of 5s, but not enough to beat a pair of aces, so this player takes the pot. Let's play another hand and break it down just a little bit more. So I'm going to start by making sure that everyone's made the right main bet. The dealer's got a $5 bet, and so should everybody else. If somebody made a bet that was too big, I would just give them back the rest of it and assume that they just made a mistake there. The side bets are all placed. I'm going to give 1 card to each player, 1 to myself right by my bet, 1 more to each player, and then back to myself, 1, 2, 3, 4 more going right to left. First, check the hedge bet, side bet. That's the one that's going to pay the same for everyone. So if I have a pair of 5s or better, I'll pay that bet. I don't. I'm going to take all those bets down. Next, I'm going to check the quick draw bet and see if anybody out there has my hand beat. I'm just going to cheat a little bit here just to show it working. So now this player with the Ace 9 is going to get paid 5-to-1 on the hedge bet because they have my hand beat. Nobody else did that. There's 2 rules we haven't seen yet because they don't come up very often, and the first one is called the kick out. That's when the dealer's hand is so good that the dealer actually folds. With 5 players, if I had any 3 of a kind or better, I would actually fold my hand and get out. My bet would still stay in the pot. So that's called the kick out, and that actually goes down. It gets easier for the dealer to fold when there are fewer players at the table. I'm not kicking my hand out, so now I'm going to bring all the bets into the center. The action goes to the low hand, which in this case is the 10-4, and I'm going to ask that player, do they want to play or do they want to fold? If the player folds, there's a couple of options. You can either, and if their hand gets killed as well, you can either keep it face down in front of them like this. That makes it easier to trace yourself backwards. Or you can do what I'm used to, which is just to take all the cards out of play. The 10-5 has the same option. Let's say the 10-5 goes ahead and plays. We're going to put a chip in the middle and 1, 2, 3. That's a pair of 5s, and it's better than the dealer's hand, so that's going to knock me out. The next lowest hand is the Jack 7. There's actually 2 Jack 7, so we're going to break that by the suit of the high card. Clubs are lower than spades, and so the Jack of clubs is going to go next. He'll go ahead and play that hand out. 1, 2, 3. That's a pair of 8s, and that's better than a pair of 5s. The other Jack-7 is next. Having seen what just happened, he's going to go ahead and fold. And now the Ace-9 is last. Now, he's got to get better than a pair of 8s, and he's getting 8-1 to try to beat that. That's not too bad, so he's going to play it. Here's another nickel in the pot. 1, 2, 3, and that's aces and 9s. That's much better than a pair of 8s. The other rule we haven't seen happen yet is called the bonus hand. If your hand is good enough, you not only will probably win the pot, but even if you don't win the pot, you get extra money from the dealer just for having a good hand. So if you have a straight or better, you get 2 extra bets, so $10 for the straight, 5 bets for the flush, 10 for the full house, and so on up. For a royal flush, you get 1,000 extra bets. And that's whether you win the hand or not. Presumably you would win if you had that royal flush. This player doesn't have a bonus hand, but they do get the rest of the pot. And that's the end of the hand. Let's do one more. All right, first I'm going to check that everyone's made the right bets. I see a couple of people have overbet on the main bet space, so I'll just cut that back down to $5. You can bet as much as you want on the side or nothing at all. And I'm going to start dealing 1 card to each player, 1 to myself, 1 more to each player, and then back to me. 5 cards for the dealer. I have a pair of aces this time, which means the hedge bets are going to pay 1-1. Let me put out a 1-1 payout on all those hedge bets. That one hedge bet that got made. And then if anyone has a pair of aces beat, they would win on that quick draw bet, but they have not beat a pair of aces with 2 cards. That's pretty hard. I'm going to bring all these bets into the center. And I want to illustrate a couple of things that haven't happened by chance. So first of all, let's say that my hand was 3 aces. So far, it's been pretty much the same. If you made a hedge bet, you'd actually get paid 3-1 on that hedge bet because I have 3 of a kind. And now, because there's only 5 players, I would fold that 3 of a kind hand, and the players would just play amongst themselves. My dealer bet would still go into the middle. Now let's say I had a lower hand because I want to show you something else as well. Here's a pair of jacks. That's not good enough. A really low hand, a king high. So my king high is already beat on the table, but I don't fold it. There's a pair of 8s, which is going to be the hand to reckon with here. This pair of 8s is technically beating me, but they haven't played their hand yet, so I'm not going to fold a 5-card hand until it's beaten by another 5-card hand. All right, the action is going to go to the 9-4. That's the lowest hand on the table, and that player is going to fold. I want to illustrate a couple of other things here. We've got a pair of 10-7s here, so we're going to break the tie by the suit of the high card. The 10 of hearts is lower than the 10 of spades. So the 10 of hearts goes first. Let's say he plays that hand and gets 1, 2, 3 cards. There's a pair of 10s. I'm cheating for one more reason. I don't want anyone to beat this pair of 8s because I'm going to show you how that works too. But the king queen is higher than the king jack. That will knock my hand out. The next 10-7 is going to fold because I want to get to this pair of 8s. So will the 6 jack. Now this is the thing I want to explain. This is a king high and it's the best 5-card hand, but the pair of 8s is clearly beating it already. We don't require this player to pay the bet for the rest of their cards because it's obvious that they're going to win. Even if that player was out of money or whatever, we're just going to skip all that and deal the hand out anyway because they should be paying for those cards, and there's a possibility that they'll get one of the bonus hands, that they'll get a straight or a flush or better and get even more money besides just winning the pot. So there's a few extra little details of Ricochet Poker, and that's how you play the game. Thanks for watching.